Hello, welcome to Cinema Savvy, and welcome back to a brand new movie review. It feels like it's been a while since we've done one of these. I'm Chris Garner, joined today with Tayte Hour to give our review on Atomic Blonde, which is the 2017 action spy thriller film directed by David Leitch, starring Charlize Theron and James McAvoy, and a whole host of supporting cast, which we'll get through later in the review. So usually we sort of go over what we thought of the film based on trailers. But first off, with this movie in particular, this is not the kind of movie I expected it to be. So I think we're going to have to kick off with the plot. So over to you, Tate, for the trusty IMDb.
It kind of was the film I expected it to be, but whatever.
Oh, okay. We'll get into that later.
I saw all the trailers and I thought, yeah, this is going to be exactly how I think it is. An undercover MI6 agent is sent to Berlin during the Cold War to investigate the murder of a fellow agent and recover a missing list of double agents.
So, yeah, so you just mentioned the trailer, so it sounds like this is going to be a very interesting review. Maybe we might even clash a little bit on this. My opinions on the trailers that came out, I don't think I saw all the trailers. I definitely saw the first trailer that came out, and initial opinions on that were, this looks incredible. I think you told me about it before, saying that, Chris, we know that you like the 80s. There's a thriller spy film coming out with Charlize Theron set in the 80s. Watch the trailer. I think you'll like it. Watched it, loved it. But what I really chalked the trailer up to was that this looks like a John Wick clone, but you've changed, you've exchanged Keanu Reeves for Charlize Theron. And I was completely fine with that. I love John Wick. I love the action style of that. And we know that Charlize Theron can kick ass in any movie she's in, whether it's Mad Max Fury Road, even Fast 8, she's great in that movie as well. So I knew that I was just going into this expecting a fun action romp, similar style to John Wick. And actually, David Leitch was the co-director of the first John Wick film. He's then going on to direct Deadpool 2. So he's definitely at home with the action genre. I think he was even a stuntman himself.
Yeah.
I'll get into my review in a minute. Go into what you thought of the trailers, and then we'll...
So from the trailers, because I'm quite interested in like Cold War television and Cold War film and stuff like that. We haven't had many big ones recently, but I think I've talked about, I don't even know if I've talked about it on the podcast before, but Deutschland Giant Axig, a brilliant German TV show which details a spy basically from the East being sent to the West to spy on them, and the kind of dramas that take place with that. Incredibly intense TV show. Brilliant. So I was kind of thinking it was going to be along those kind of lines, seeing the trailers and stuff like that. It would maybe be a bit more action-packed, maybe following in the tail of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, that kind of spy genre type thing, with maybe a bit more bright colors, a bit more into the action sequences. But yeah, this can be compared to a lot of films from this year. As far as syncing the music to fight sequences, you could compare that in some sense, not complete sense, to Baby Driver. You've got the bright neons of the Guardians of the Galaxy, of the Suicide Squad, of those kind of films. You then have the spy essence of it from like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and name another spy film like Bridge of Spies and stuff like that. You have that Cold War kind of drama going on. And then it's also got like a Britpop kind of twist to it. Like you've got that kind of what's it called, like a punk kind of twist to it as well. Like all the characters feel like they've been punked up and stuff like that. So yeah, this film crosses a lot of genres, but I feel like it does a satisfying enough job of that. It's not an overly like ridiculously good film. I would suggest watching it, but at the same time, it's not a film that I completely hated. There were a couple of things which I got on my nerves and could have been touched up. And I have a way of completely improving this film, which I'll talk about in the spoiler section. But other than that, yeah, I thought it was an overall good film.
I thought it was okay, and that kind of depresses me to say, because I saw the trailer for this thing and I thought this was going to be incredible. Not quite as good as John Wick, but I thought this was going to be, something special, especially with the 80s twist.
You wanted Jane Wick and it did not deliver.
I wanted literally John Wick with Charlize Theron, and what I got was a very slow, methodical Cold War movie, which I guess I should have anticipated from the trailers, or if I'd have watched all the trailers. But watching this, I'm not going to lie, I was close to like nodding off at so many parts in this film. It just didn't grab my attention at all. I do love the style of it, and we'll talk more about the style later on, because I think that's a big aspect of the film. But how I was experiencing this film as a viewer was, I was just sort of like slumped into my seat, nodding off through the really long, dreary dialogue scenes, and I was just ticking over till the next action scene, which are really good, by the way. There's an action set piece towards the end of this film, down a staircase, almost like it's done in one shot, similar to Daredevil Series 2, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. And it's incredible to watch. Like, the characters feel fatigued. You see them beat down, worn down. And that's the kind of stuff I wanted. It feels like, to me, I wanted like a Raid-style film with Charlize Theron all the way through the film.
But you're never going to get anywhere near the Raid. Even John Wick, I would still say, doesn't get near the Raid in as far as its action sequences. It does a good job in kind of having its own artistic styling, but nothing even competes with the Raid nowadays. Both of the films, I would say. But I'd say that as far as the action was concerned, it was enjoyable enough. I mean, there was definitely one standout sequence. But other than that, the action was reasonably well choreographed, especially with the music. I think people will pick up on that as soon as the film starts. But yeah, I'd say, yeah.
Something just didn't gel for me.
I can understand like how the trailers would differ to the actual thing, because they put all the action in the trailers, don't put any of the kind of Cold War politics. And maybe as a person who likes slow burning films and kind of films that make you kind of think a little bit more past the action, like that kind of talked to me, especially since it's a genre which I quite like, spy thrillers and stuff like that. But it's, as far as spy thrillers go, it's like a more action heavy standalone James Bond film, if anything.
Yeah. This one took a while to find its footing with me. I did find myself coming around to it a little bit more towards the 3/4 mark of the film. But I mean, if you go with a film and say, well, it gets good in the last quarter of the film, or like wholeheartedly good, like I was genuinely enraptured by it by the last quarter, but the rest of the build-up I wasn't really feeling, I can't exactly go ahead and call it a good movie. I think it's fine. However, I do think the trailers really did mismarket this movie, at least to me. But we'll get into it more now. So we won't talk about all the characters because this is the spoiler-free section. We'll talk more about when we get to spoilers. But Charlize Theron, I mean, this woman's incredible. She looks incredible. She looks amazing. The action scenes, like, I don't know how much of it she did herself, but, you know, the hand-to-hand combat, you can tell that was her. She's got stuck in before with the films that I've said, especially with, like, Mad Max. We know that she can do the action genre and she can do it well. Yeah, so I liked her as a character. She's a fairly complex character, and I just like the overall mood that we find. You can tell that she's been in this line of work for a long time. Later on in the film, she's offset with a character that is very new to this thing, and you can see her taking on this kind of nurturing role to that character because she knows where this kind of life leads. And, you know, she plays it brilliantly. So I can't say anything particularly bad about the cast. Actually, the cast across the entire board is fantastic. James McAvoy as well, who I have yet to see him turn in a bad performance.
Wait a second.
All of the cast are great in this film.
I'm going to hold you down to that. There's got to be... No, there is. He's done some dodgy animated films where his voice... Oh, Wanted.
Even if, like...
Wanted, dude, Wanted.
Yeah, but even if the film's bad, I don't think that he's been bad in them.
Okay.
Particularly.
I've seen Romeo and Juliet, and I'm not going to lie. That's some very, very shoddy voice acting in that film.
Fair enough. The point carries. But no, what did you think to the cast?
I'd say they've managed to get a brilliant cast for this. But yeah, I can't really complain about it. Like James McAvoy turns in a brilliant performance. Charlize Theron, always a good performance. Ever since Monster, first time I saw Monster, I've been a fan of hers, and then Mad Max Fury Road, what is it now, 2 years ago almost?
Yeah.
Like brilliant. And yeah, no, really well done.
Don't forget Mighty Joe Young from the 90s.
Mighty Joe Young. And then we go.
Anyone that remembers that film?
No. We go into the supporting cast. Eddie Marsan, who last time I saw him, he was in The World's End. I don't know if he's done any films since. I'm just gonna have a quick look. No, he's going to be in the new Jungle Book, which I assume is the
Andy Serkis one.
Andy Serkis one. Other than that, he hasn't really done many big things since he was in Filth, apparently, and then The World's End, obviously, and the Sherlock Holmes franchise, which I'm assuming he'll probably return to as Lestrade. And then we've also got John Goodman, who, dear Lord, he's just... I want him to play something in every film because he always brings something different to every character that he does. You can't fault him in that sense. We have Lord Randall Tarley.
Yes, I was going to point that out. I was waiting for a moment. Yeah.
He seems fresh after his burning, after his family roast. We then have Toby Jones. First time I've seen him since that the series of Sherlock that I'm pretty sure everyone wants to forget. If you want to see what our thoughts on the Sherlock series was, then please go see our Sherlock review. I'll give you a spoiler on that one. We didn't like it. Then we've got, finally, I'll talk about Sofia Boutella, who she's quite a diverse actress. She wasn't very good in The Mummy.
She was
actually, let's be honest.
That whole movie was terrible.
Let's be honest here. She was probably one of the better things in the Mummy film.
Yeah.
But like the film itself wasn't very good. But she's kind of like a chameleon actress who's kind of starting to hit the stage and stuff like that. So it'd be good to keep an eye on her. Oh, just looking at the cast here now. One final person to mention: the new clown from the film It was in the film. Bill Skarsgård.
Yes, he was.
That's what he looks like without makeup. Noted. When I see It, I will be truly terrified.
just think of him from Atomic Blonde, you'll be absolutely fine. No, Sofia Boutella, she was one of my favorite characters in this film, and I can't go too much in depth with the character in this one. When I saw the trailer for this film, they made sure they put the whole Charlize Theron, Sofia Boutella sex scenes to the forefront, clearly to get asses in seats, like the whole popcorn chomping action film. Like, yeah, we've got guns, we've got Charlize Theron, we've got lesbian action, this is going to be great. But like, it feels like a genuine relationship in the movie, which I really liked. Like, they could have just done it for, get some TNA on screen, people are going to dig it up, but no, like it felt like a genuine connection that these two people shared. And I think it's going back to what I said, that Charlize Theron's playing a character that's been in this line of work for a long time, and it feels like she genuinely does love this girl, or at least cares for her and wants to. It almost feels like she was trying to keep her out of the game because she knows where it's going to lead, and like everyone around her gets into harm's way, and she's trying to prevent that from happening to her. And I thought that was a nice little subplot, I guess you can call it.
You have a lot of relationships taking place in this film.
Yes.
They bounce all over the place, and you can see that playing off each other. Okay, now I'm going to move into something that I have a problem with in this film, and I'm sure Chris will as well. This isn't really a spoiler, but if you have a look at the promotional images and all of the promotional trailers and everything like that for the film, you'll notice one of the main things is atomic, so like neon colors. Like the poster is in black and white with the silverish hair standing out beautifully. It's a brilliant poster. You've then got the atomic written in neon, the blonde also in white neon. So everything kind of has a neon feel. When the film starts, they don't do neon. In fact, throughout the entire film, they don't do neon. Instead, they do spray paint in very vibrant colors.
Green and pink
and
it's
orange.
like Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and I don't know why they didn't do neon, and it pissed me off every time it came on the screen in the film. And I'm not going to lie, this will put some people off the film. But at the start of the film, it has a text scroll on the screen which says, like, the Cold War took place there. The fall of the Berlin Wall happened then, and then it says in like spray on paint, "This is not that story." And I just thought, oh no. I thought, oh shit, this film's going to be terrible, isn't it? As soon as I saw that, I immediately thought, oh, this film's going to be so bad, isn't it?
I was expecting to see like Jared Leto's Joker like show up as soon as the green spray paint came on. That's a really, really small.
He's just in the background of the Charlize Theron sexy, just going honka honka.
Oh God, I really don't want to see that movie. No, I'll agree. It's a really small point because it doesn't detract too much from the movie. But I agree, if you've like made your whole ad campaign, the title of your movie, Atomic Blonde, and you go with like the whole neon vibe, which I think is used. Is it used in the opening title sequence?
Call it Neon Blonde, and go with that. Or something. Call it something different.
I was going to say, with Atomic Blonde, with the soundtrack, we'll get onto the music in a minute. We don't even get Atomic by Blondie.
No, we don't.
Like, no, oh God, like, it's the simple connection to make, and they didn't take it. spray paint aside from this movie, the style itself I really do like, and the mood that this film creates. It feels like it's 80s, but it also feels like it's been it feels contemporary. It feels like a contemporary 80s style, which I think is the overall style they're going for. The action we've talked about, there's a scene on a stairway sequence, there's car chasing, which is absolutely fantastic to watch, and you do feel exhausted as a viewer watching it, as the characters do on screen. The action, I can't fault that at all. It was more just the connecting bits for me. But the style itself, I loved it. Also, I can't tell you how nice it was to have an actual opening titles in a film.
Yeah,
very rare we get them in films now, and we'll get onto the music in a minute. But great opening song, really got me in the mood. And actually, whilst I was waiting for the action beats, I was also waiting for the next song, because the music in this film is also... I should probably pick up this soundtrack. It's seriously incredible.
No, this soundtrack was very, very good. Seriously, like it just kind of gets you in the mood, you know. You can't really hate on the 80s that much. And it managed to kind of completely encompass the kind of music of the time. Once again, another series that I have to once again say you must watch this series, Deutschland, 83 or 83. Seriously, brilliant show. I know it's in German. Just watch it anyway, okay? There are some English characters in there who speak in English, okay? If that really frustrates you enough. But it's a German-made TV show. I believe you can get it on 4 on demand as part of one of their box sets. If not, just search it up online. Once again, for people at home, Deutschland 83 or Deutschland 83. Seriously good show. But anyway, like seriously fits in the themes perfectly. The music just, it fits the film stylings. The stylings fits the film's music. And I'm sure that they probably got the soundtrack written before they wrote the film.
Yeah. I think I was reading a little bit about it, and I think that David Leitch, the director, was planning the music, and then I think Tarantino does that as well. And actually, going from the Tarantino connection here, the opening song in the soundtrack, which is Cat People Putting Out Fire by David Bowie. I know that film was made for the film Cat People, I believe, but I know it from Inglourious Bastards when Shoshana's getting ready for the premiere at the theatre, and I couldn't shake that image of that song. Like, Tarantino has that song tied to that movie for me now.
He does.
But it's the one that's used for the opening titles, and it fits Charlize Theron's character. Very similar kind of character to Shoshana in that moment, in that, you know, she's got a lot of attitude. She's getting ready to, you know, take on the world, essentially. And there was that connection there. There was other great songs in there. You've got Blue Monday in there. You've got 99 Love Balloons, and actually a really amazing cover of 99 Love Balloons towards the end of this film by, Collider, K-A-L-E-I-D-A. Loved that cover, and I've been listening to that nonstop as soon as the film finished. Although I didn't completely love the film, I fired up my Wi-Fi, went onto YouTube, found that cover, and just walked moodily to some 80s synth cover version of 99 Love Balloons. Seriously, the soundtrack to this thing is amazing. I guess that brings us to overall opinion.
Yes, it does. I would say go watch this film. It's decent enough. It's not a must-watch, but it's definitely one which is like, you know, it's enjoyable. Like, it really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, go watch it.
I'd say it's a rental. Like, if you were going to wait for this to come out on DVD, I wouldn't be against or anything like that. Although the action is great, I wouldn't say it's big screen worthy necessarily. I think you could get away with watching it on a smaller screen. The music's great, the style's great, but go into it with the expectations that this is a fairly slow burn movie. And I think it comes close to greatness, but something didn't quite gel with me. And I don't know if that's down to the screenplay, if it didn't feel like it was as intelligent as it thought it was being. I'm not sure. The guy who wrote the screenplay was Kurt Johnstad. He did the script for 300 and 300 Rise of an Empire. One of those movies I liked. Rise of an Empire was just kind of okay. And that's kind of what I feel with this movie. It's just okay. Would I see this movie again? If someone fired it up on the TV, sure, I'd give it a watch again. And actually, now that my expectations have been tempered somewhat and I've seen it, so I know what I'm getting in for, it might be interesting to go back to this film again and see if I enjoy it more on a second viewing, because the plot itself is fairly complex in terms of all the ties and double crossings and double agents and things like that. And sometimes it takes me a little bit of a while to get used to that and to keep my head and like know where all the characters are at and everything like that.
I am going to.
It's fine.
I'm going to reserve what I think should fix this film until the spoiler section. In fact, we're actually going into the spoiler section now. So if you haven't seen this film enough, if you're just tuning in to hear how I would recommend going about this, I would just say turn it into a TV show, elongate the plot, and just make it into a massive, like, double-crossing, who's crossing who kind of situation. Because I'm not going to lie, but that first scene where he gets killed, that could be the end of episode 1. And that's like 20 seconds into the film immediately. You then have all the double crossings and crossings taking place after that. And all of the scenes, like there are some very iconic scenes. Like I would say the scene where they're walking through the parade and all the black umbrellas go up. That would be brilliant in a TV show. People would remember that. In the film, it just becomes just part of the scenery, and people will more likely remember the fight that happens after that instead of the black umbrellas going up. They could have then ended the episode with like him getting shot, and then the next episode starts with the sequence scene where she's going through the building trying to get him out. So much easier if it's television. Maybe it's because television is actually starting to take over film in some way, shape, or form. But I feel like this film, screenplay-wise, pacing-wise, everything-wise, would have worked way better as a TV series, especially because the slightly open-ended ending would have allowed for them to develop it more. Obviously, there isn't going to be another like thing afterwards. Secondly, second improvement to the film, I wouldn't call it Atomic Blonde. I know that it's got that title just to draw more people in because it's Charlize Theron. She's got blonde hair, makes sense. Call it The Coldest City, for fuck's sake.
Well, that's the graphic novel's title, isn't it?
Name of the graphic novel. And trust in that, because it becomes, instead of like, it boosts the sales for the graphic novel, first of all. And I know that, like, throughout the entire film, it does say, like, the coldest city, like, at the very start, it says at the very end. For non-cinema goers, they're just like, well, I'm going to type in Atomic Blonde online, and we'll see what comes up. And they probably won't be able to find the graphic novel.
To me, the thought process behind that was, you know, it's going back to what I said, I thought the film was going to be like Atomic Blonde, like John Wick with Charlize Theron, ass-kicking blonde character.
Whilst if it's The Coldest City and this film showed up, I'm pretty sure you would have enjoyed the film more.
Yeah, because I know what I'd be getting in for, and I do fault the marketing. The marketing was great. I loved the trailers. But from the final product, I think that's what kind of threw me off a little bit. I completely agree with your points on the TV show. I was thinking that myself. The pacing of this film is quite uneven because, as I said, like there'll be moments where I'm genuinely interested in it. There'll be a lot of intrigue, and then you'll get these slow interrogation scenes, slow, moody pace scenes, and it doesn't feel like it gels with the tone they were going for before. And then you'll get like an action scene that's straight out of The Raid or John Wick or something, and you're like, this is fucking awesome, and then it's back to slow. If it was in a TV show, you could stagger that out a lot more, and it would be very episodic, and I agree with that. And I do think
also, I feel like some of the scenes could have very easily been lengthened. Like, I feel like we didn't get the whole conversation between James McAvoy's character and the Russians, like when he was actually doing the dodgy dealings. I feel like that being elongated would have worked way better. Also, is it really bad that I guessed that he was the spy from the first trailer? Yeah, no, as soon as he showed up, I guessed it was him. Like, literally, first trailer, I was just like, well, James McAvoy's the spy then, isn't he? And that's what I mean. Like, they try to do all these double crossings and make it seem really intelligent, but when you get down to brass tacks and get to the end... He was the spy, to be honest. Because they kind of do... They tried to go with that. They do skirt with that a little bit, don't they? But then they immediately turn away from it. It's like, nah, just kidding. It's just like dipping his toe in the water and then not going for a swim. Yeah, like the end of this movie, to me, it suffered from Return of the King syndrome. Now, I love Return of the King. Anyone who watches this podcast or this knows that I love Lord of the Rings. George would love to weigh into this. And the endings themselves I have no problem with, but it's just the term I use. This did feel like it had about 2 or 3 endings, and it just didn't know when to quit. So when the spy's revealed at the end, it's James McAvoy. You're like, okay, everything's wrapped up, and I think it starts playing a song. And then she gives the line like, when's my date with, she's got like a cigarette. She's like, when's my date with the Queen? I was like, boom, credits. Because people laughed. Like that would have been brilliant. It felt like a logical conclusion. It fades to black.
fades back in, and then we get this whole like epilogue sequence.
Yeah.
Where it's like tying up loose ends with the Russians, and then we get like another brief action set piece, and then we get another song that comes in, which then takes us into the credits, which I think is it's a Queen song. It's Under Pressure, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The film.
It's just like it does suffer from Return of the King syndrome of just having one or two too many endings.
Mm-hmm.
And hell, it would be fine if it was a TV show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because then she could just turn around and just say, "I'm tying up loose ends," and he wasn't like he may have been the mole, but he wasn't top of the organization. It could have been brilliantly done, especially if you stagger each episode, like counting the seconds down until the wall falls, having a wall fall episode or a couple of wall fall episodes, and then you have after the wall has fallen.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. Why didn't they go for that instead? Because they thought movie would probably make more money, because they obviously gained the rights as a filmmaking company. But I have to say, I'd say people are moving to TV more. Kevin Spacey moved to House of Cards and has been doing so well off that, better than he would have been probably in film.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that say about film nowadays?
It's a very interesting shake-up. I mean, that's a video for a different time, but definitely we can see what TV can do now, whether it's on Netflix or HBO, Amazon, whatever it happens to be. People are talking TV more. That's just the way that things are going. There's still always going to be a place for a movie, don't get me wrong, but it's just the natural, logical thing. With a TV show, you have more hours, you have more room to play with, you can develop characters more, you can develop storylines more, and that's just sadly a trait that you don't get in movies. You can't do in movies because you have a set amount of time to tell your story, get in and get out. I should say as well that none of us have read the graphic novel, Sam Hart's graphic novel, The Coldest City, so I don't know how closely this film is tied to that. Judging by the film, I think that it's probably like based in the same world with the same characters and pretty much little else. It feels like it's definitely doing its own thing within the world. Maybe that spray paint designs from the graphic novel, or that scene where she like pulls that ruff up over her face. Maybe that's what the character looks like in the graphic novel. I don't know. But I've pretty much said everything I can on this movie. There's not really many specifics I want to go into.
No. I'm good.
So, yeah, I've said pretty much everything I can.
Yep, same as me.
Cool. So that'll do it for our review on Atomic Blonde. Be sure to comment, subscribe, let us know what you thought of this movie. Have you even read the graphic novel? How does it compare? If you have anything you like regarding Atomic Blonde, please do drop us a comment and let us know. In terms of what's coming up on the channel, there'll be more trailer reactions from me. I need to go and record a whole bunch more, probably tomorrow if I get time. We'll also be having our review for The Defenders, which should probably be out next week. I'm going to give it a few days by the time, because I still need to watch Iron Fist as well.
I have already seen it, though. I want to point out that I have seen it, and okay.
Okay, so that's all you're getting from Tayte right now until our review. Also, join us on Tuesday evening. We'll be going live for our review on episode 6, season 7 of Game of Thrones, Death is the Enemy. Lots of stuff on the channel, so hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon as well so you stay updated with all of our content. We're about to jump on a very quick live stream right after this for a review on Dark Tower. So, yeah, until the next video, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.